there are crappy men in the world, right? But men are crappy because we've created a system where manhood has become obsolete. You keep increasingly telling men more and more they can't matter. When I say, who are they being told that by? You know, there, like I said, there's more sinister implications here of why we're making manhood obsolete. When we're saying masculinity is wrong, this is backwards. You don't need a man. You can just have a baby without a man. You're starting to see that sort of programming happening with young women. When you're telling women to act like men, you should aspire to the things that men naturally might aspire to. When you remove the more natural feeling of men being providers and women being nurturers, which is a beautiful yin and yang that just works, right? So you're creating men to feel obsolete, and then women are complaining because men aren't being men. You know, it doesn't work that way, right? And not only that, then increasingly you're telling women to be the opposite of what I think men want. You complain about men, but are you being the type of a woman that a man would want, right? It's a self-perpetuating problem. And then you say that and they, oh my God, Candace is a horrible human being. And I'm looking at you going, I'm not a dude. I wouldn't date you.
Yo, shouts out to Bay, the lovely Candace Owens. I know y'all ladies can't stand her, especially the sisters, you know what I'm saying? But that's neither here nor there. But in such a short clip, we got a lot to unpack here. But first, it's your favorite everything, GR Wisdom. Hit that like and subscribe button, along with the bell. That way you receive all the notifications for all of my future videos that have content like this. Let's run it up to 100,000, guys. Quit playing. Anyway, man, shouts out to baby girl Candace Owens. She just had a baby. Congratulations, all those good things. But always, I wouldn't say always spot on, but you know, I agree with a lot of the things that Candace Owens says in terms of, you know, she's a conservative pundit, conservative viewpoints, but, you know, she's speaking truth. And a lot of the stuff that she says aligns with the ideology within this space for a lot of men. And she speaks out on these things, and she calls women out and hold a lot of these wayward women accountable, and they get highly upset about the things. So it's a yin and yang that's worked for thousands of years, guys. But the way this agenda that's being pushed now in terms of masculinity is no longer masculinity, it's termed toxic masculinity, and men have to question everything they say and walk on eggshells, and, you know, basically in terms of just being a man is difficult. Being a heterosexual man is one of the hardest things to be these days. And it's kind of like what she's talking about. You know, this society is pushing, Western society is pushing women to be like men, or to be men, or say I can do everything a man can do. And we're blurring the lines here, and it's causing confusion, especially for the youth. And it's basically just throwing the whole family dynamic into disarray. Like she said, there's a perfect yin and yang that went together, with men being the providers, the sustainers of the family, and women being the nurturers. But now we basically are saying the woman is the all-encompassing, and we can kind of push men out. There's no longer a need for masculinity from the man side. The woman is the all-encompassing one human being to lead the race, and men are basically no longer needed at this point. And it's very, as she said, I don't know if she said sinister, but it's very sinister, the thought process of actually pushing this, and women are going for it and complaining about men, and then will turn around and flip, as she said, and say men aren't masculine, men aren't leaders, so on and so forth. And when you really don't want the man to lead, we say the natural inclination of a woman is not to lead, right? But society wants to push you to be the leader of the family. It wants you to be the husband and the wife. And you're complaining about being the husband and the wife. I have conditional femininity. That's becoming a new thing. I'll sleep with a man, I'll do all these other things, but I have to feel safe with a man before I can feel feminine. He has to put me in my feminine. You know, he has to be able to do all those things. When we always say a woman is feminine and submissive to the right man. If you have a woman that's not doing that, that's completely different. You can't make a woman want to do that. If you're trying to instruct a woman, which some women may not know how to, quote unquote, cater to a man and things like that. But when she's with the right man, she'll be feminine. But a lot of dudes let women get away with this aggressive behavior, which they're projecting with, these chips on their shoulder, and they disrespect the man, and they feel like it's cool, and they get away with it, and they think that's how stuff is supposed to be. But knowing when a man challenges you or basically completely walks away from the situation, there's a problem there, right? Something's wrong with him. Oh, you're scared. You can't take it from. Now you want to say something. You want to challenge his masculinity and call him feminine because he's not going to sit there and put up with the BS. You'd rather have him get aggressive with you and or violent to prove his manhood, because that's how he's supposed to react, which is in all actuality being feminine. You know what I mean? It's not how he should be conducting himself, but you want to push him to that point. So this whole thing that's come about in society has basically torn the fabric of the modern family. And men and women are at odds at an all-time high right now. And a lot of people don't know. They're making gender roles non-specific in terms of this, or even the word gender is just fluid at this point. There are no roles. There's no designated roles in terms of men, women, masculine, feminine. It's all just trying to become really androgynous at this point, and it's crazy. A lot of people don't want to do that, or they're just stepping away from relationships altogether, or wanting to be, because it's like, it's not about control. You want protection from a man, but you don't want to give him anything to protect. You bash men, you basically challenge his masculinity, then when something happens to you, you basically call him everything but a man and ask why isn't he protecting you? When all you try to do is degrade him, challenge his masculinity, say that he's not worth anything, and then just throw these things. It's just, the logic of it just doesn't make any sense. And we have to stop it. And that's why voices like Candace Owens are needed. As much as people dislike her, and even though she does say some things, like I said, I don't agree with everything Candace says. But when it comes to the family dynamic, male and female relationships, interpersonal relationships, basically what it takes for a family to succeed and build together, she's spot on with that stuff. You know what I mean? You can call her a panderer, or she panders to a certain demographic, or she panders to men, or she panders to the white community, for lack of a better term. That's on you. Or you could say she's a sellout because she married a white man. Hey, but a lot of the stuff she says is true. You just have to get out of your feelings in terms of these things. A lot of the stuff she speaks about, especially within the black community, is issues that are detrimental, that are keeping the race as a whole stagnant and not mobile or upward movement, or any upward movement for that matter. Things that we need to think about. So instead of worrying about fighting about who's in charge or who's running stuff, or I will never be submissive to a man, which means I'm not gonna cooperate with him, which means I'm an asshole. The only time we're gonna meet up is in the bedroom, and that's just to do. Other than that, we got nothing else to talk about except create some kids. We're gonna argue about everything else instead of coming together. So I completely agree with her. As far as women that are actually dateable, a lot of men are settling, because a lot of men are settling and taking what they can get just because they're lonely. And that's just, unfortunately, that's just how it is. And it shouldn't be that way. But fellas, hey, you don't have to put up with anything. And if a woman is saying all these things to you, she's not being cooperative, she's not emulating you or following you. And when I say emulating you, I mean in terms of you taking the lead, your values, your morals, your principles, then you guys are just gonna clash and butt heads. You can let her do those things for the next man, because you guys just aren't a good match. She'll submit to who it is that she really wants to be with, and obviously you aren't the one. Simple as that. Anyway, let me know what you guys think. Like, share, comment, and subscribe. Hit me up on Linktree to book a one-on-one if you're trying to get some advice. Follow me on Instagram. Purchase all my books, merch, t-shirts, things like that. It helps to support the channel. I appreciate you guys for rocking with me. Stick around. If you like this video, stick around for the next video. This is Wisdom. Peace be upon you, and I'm going to catch you guys on the next one. I'm out of here. Peace.
It's God's beat maker.
And I don't know. I have put a light in the sky for the G's that done turn memory from go.